Welcome to the Money Savvy Parents podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurial parents to work towards becoming financially invincible to then pass that vital life skill down through the generations. I am your host, Laura, mother to 3 beautiful children and founder, financial strategist for Savvy Peacocks. Each week, we'll be delving into a new money topic to get you and your family more money savvy. Let's remove the taboo from money together. Hi everybody, thank you so much to our special guest today, Julie Flynn. Now, I've known Julie for just over a year now, I think. Came into my world when I started my business, so I'm really pleased to have you here, Julie. Welcome.
Hey, thank you very much for having me, Laura.
So today I wanted to share with my audience who you are, what you do, because you are particularly special in my opinion. And also I'd like to talk about your expertise, which is all around how we can be as financially prepared as possible when life's big issues come our way, should we say. So do you want to just take a moment to introduce yourself and tell everyone what I'm talking about when I say you're a little bit special?
Okay, I don't know how to take that. I'm a little bit special. I'm going to take that in a good way. All right, so hi everybody, I'm Julie Flynn. So I'm an independent financial advisor and a financial coach. And I've been doing that since 1998, which I think makes me qualified to talk about just about anything to do with money. And in my role as a financial advisor, it's all about making the right money arrive at the right time in the right place. And as a financial coach, it's about figuring out where is the right time in the right place. I think what Laura meant when she said I'm a bit special is that I work with a very specific group of clients, and it's women, and it's where life has taken an unexpected turn. So the thing I'm probably best known for is I work with women who have lost their partner. And I think one of the things that Laura wants me to do today is just kind of share with you the things that I've learned from working with this group of clients that I've actually implemented in my own life to make me more financially resilient and helping me prepare. And I think I want to share that with you today.
Yeah, I mean, when I met you a year ago and we had that little chat on the phone, we weren't even on Zoom, I just fell in love with you immediately. I love your personality, your vibe. You're just so, I don't know, you're just so down to earth and you've got such an expertise. And the question I've got for you is, from a business perspective, before we jump into the financial stuff, is how you managed to niche down so much and what benefit that's given you. Because as a financial advisor, niching down like that into specifically supporting widows has actually been really successful for you, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think when you're starting out in business, or even when you're an established business, the thought of niching, it feels counterintuitive because you just want clients and you want business. So why would I be sending out a message that excludes people? And the real reason I did it was because I was getting bored and I needed to reinvigorate the business, reinvigorate myself. And so it was a case of looking at, what do I do that makes me feel really fulfilled? And I just happened to be working with a lot of people like that already that have been through this life event. And so I thought, why don't I just do that all the time? Because it makes me feel fulfilled. And I would say as a business, the benefits of niching down is it's all about when you're sending out your message, the more specific you get with the message that you're sending, all right, be it on social media or you're talking on a podcast, when that message lands in the ears or in the eyes of your ideal client, what screams out at them is the message is, oh my God, I've got to work with you. Because when your message is at everybody, it attracts nobody. But the more specific you get, the more it resonates with that person when they hear it.
Yeah, and you're the only one that I've ever come across that specializes in this way. So the minute someone knows somebody that's maybe going to become a widow or has recently become a widow, they're going to immediately think of you because there isn't anybody else that does it.
Well, there might be now. There wasn't when I started, but I was the one that went out there and shouted about it first. I was the one that went on the radio and talked about it. And if there's more people doing it now, then great. Absolutely great, because it's a specific skill set and there is a need out there. So even if you go and pick your niche and you're the first one there, and you've got like the whole of that demographic, and then someone else comes along, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
There's more than enough to go around, and they will do it really different to how you do it.
Yeah, brilliant. So let's talk about this whole piece around being financially prepared. And funny enough, this conversation actually came up on Clubhouse this morning, because we were talking about like who looks after the finances in the relationship, and is it even and equal, and do we all share absolutely everything? And I think that's probably a good place to start, right? Because that happens a lot. There's normally one person that is in more of a control than the other.
Yeah. So I put together a list of tips that I was going to share with you and your group. And I think we'll probably start with the one pager, because I've had to do this myself because I was really naughty because I didn't have one. And I'll explain what the benefit of it is. So if you're in a couple, do this. Even if you're not in a couple, do this. So what you want to do is get a sheet of A4 paper, and you're going to write 4 columns on it. Okay. And the first column is entitled who. The next column is what, and then it's how much and why. So if you're a couple, what you want to do is at least once a year, sit down with your one pager. And on this, you're going to list all your financial stuff. Okay. So the who column, so likes of mine, in my who column, I'm going to have a Viva. In the what section, that's my life cover. In the how much, it's how much it's going to pay out. And in the why column, that's in case I die. So what have I got? Who's it with? How much for? And what's the point of it? What purpose is it serving?
Nice.
And what made me think I need to get my act together on this, because I've got a thing called income protection. I'll explain what that is if you want a little bit. But it occurred to me, like, this pays out an income if I'm not able to work due to ill health. I thought, what if I can't work due to ill health and I'm not capable of getting all my stuff together? And I've got this insurance that pays an income, but I can't get my act together to get the paperwork, and nobody else knows that I've got it.
Yeah.
Well, then it's not getting used, is it?
That's such a good point. I've never really thought about it like that. In my 20 years in banking, I've never thought, but it was so true though, isn't it? It's the same, like if you become critically ill and you're in a coma, and people don't know that you've got some kind of insurance or you've got some kind of protection. It normally happens after people have passed. And I was talking to a friend yesterday actually, and she was saying that her grandfather had passed, unfortunately, and it was like trying to find a needle in a haystack, and she was going through absolutely everything in the house, and it was just like trying to piece it all together. But actually just having it all on one page is not really for your benefit. It's for your beneficiaries and the other people that are in your life. Yeah,
so like you were saying, in a couple, quite normally there's a dynamic where one person takes the lead on the financial stuff. So if you're that person, then arrange to talk to your other half at least once a year. If you're the person that's more hands-off with the money, badger the one that's in charge to do this. And together create this one-page plan where you can see at a glance all the stuff, who it's with, what's it for, and how much is it. So like I say, so the things I'll put on mine is I've got all the bank accounts, I've got all my investments, and again, what the purpose is, because I've got different investments for different things. All the people I've got pensions with, all my insurance. So I'm going to have my life cover on there. I'm going to have my critical illness cover on there, and my income protections on there. I could go and stick the house insurance and God knows what else on, but I haven't, because who cares? This is the emergency stuff. And it's that scenario, because I've seen with the clients I work with that trying to pull that information together when someone's died, your brain is not working right anyway. And it's an impossible task. But even then,
Julie, you've just said about the house insurance, sorry to cut you off, but I'm actually thinking like there could be a scenario where something's happened in your home, like massive major disaster, house is burnt down, you were caught up in the fire, and your partner doesn't know where your home insurance is and how to claim on it.
That's true. So are you telling me I need to put my house insurance on it?
House insurance on, and car insurance. You know, you could be in a car.
Put car insurance on as well, Laura. I'm struggling to fit it on one page now. No, so I think it was just that idea that, like you said, if I get cancer or some other critical illness, and I know I've got protection for that, but if nobody else does and they don't know how to find it, then that money's just sitting there. And I hate the thought of giving insurance companies money for nothing.
Oh gosh, me too. I've recently had a scenario where an insurance didn't pay out when I thought it would. And
Right.
it's really bugged me, like deep down bugged me, particularly when you work out all your premiums and how much you've paid over the year. And it's like they've just tried to find any which way they can to avoid paying out. Gosh, that's a whole different subject, I would imagine.
All right. Yeah, so get a one pager. So it's that break glass in case of emergency. But it's that opportunity just once a year to discuss it. So if you're the one that's not engaged, you've got a rough idea of what's going on. And also it's a great starting point for conversation, because then when you see things written down, you're like, okay, so we've got pension savings of that much. And you're like, well, is that enough? Is that what we should be doing? And like, we've got all these pots of money. What do they all do? And like, if you're the person that's driving, you'll have made decisions, right? We need to save for this, 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 and this. If we get the other person involved, we go, yeah, but what about that?
Yeah.
And so it's just an opportunity to collaborate. And it is, I guess, the women that I work with is about making them feel financially safe. And part of feeling safe is feeling like you know what's going on. You don't have to be in charge of everything. You don't need to understand everything, but having a sense broadly of where are we at financially.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's step one. What's the next bit?
I'm going to share with you a tip. This is something I do with the clients I work with, but it's something I use in my life as well. And we're talking about being financially prepared for when things go wrong. Okay. So inevitably, something in our life will take an unexpected turn that we weren't ready for or we weren't anticipating. And it's just about understanding what will happen to your brain if you find yourselves in those situations. Okay. So probably a lot of us will have already experienced something when the brown stuff hits the fan. So what you need to understand is when something like that happens, the way your brain processes information is completely different to how it does it normally.
Yeah.
And you might be sitting there going, I'm just not getting this. Am I going mad? Is the phrase I hear quite a lot. And it's just being aware of there is nothing wrong with you. It's just certain parts of your brain have shut down to go into survival mode. And because you're armed with that information, you can do things a little bit differently just to help yourself. So what I did this myself as well is when you know you're getting flooded with information and it's not going in, break life down into 3 lists. Okay. You want your now list, your soon list, and your later list. So whatever circumstances you find yourself in, okay, and it's just life isn't working quite the way you wanted it, break everything down into those 3 lists and you just deal with the now list, and everything else can get put into one of the other lists and you deal with that as and when. And it's about breaking it down into small bits rather than trying to do everything all at once, because you can't.
And also having it written out like that means that you won't be worried you're going to forget. Because I do that all the time. I think I need to get this done now or else I'm going to forget to do it. So actually having it there physically written down is also really handy, isn't it? To know that you've got to do it. It's just not necessary to get it done right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing as well is I've found is go visual, right? So if you're fortunate enough to work with a financial advisor, or just if you're dealing with any professional or you're in a situation and people are trying to convey what feels like complex information to you, right? I do this all the time for my clients, and I actually ask other people to do it for me sometimes. It's just like, could you draw that for me?
Yeah, I've seen you do that before, actually. I've seen you draw buckets and all sorts of things.
Pies, buckets, yeah. So, or even yourself. So if someone's explaining this information to you that you need to be able to retain somehow, what you want to do is try and find a way to represent it visually.
Right.
And that's because it's easier for the brain to process and retain. Same as one pages. So unfortunately, my profession, we love creating 20 and 30 page reports, which is of zero use to you, the client, because at the best of times, nobody reads them. But especially when you're going through something difficult, you want it all condensed onto one page. So just whoever you're working with, you get them to do it. It's a bit like having that one page financial list. It's just easy to access the information and revert back to it.
Yeah, I like that. That's really, again, like you're just so proving why you're so special and unique, because this isn't normal, by the way, guys. Like financial advisors aren't like this. Julie is special and unique. And that's, she's just proving her point by saying, just draw an illustration and it will land well in your brain. I love it.
I think that's it. You just need to understand, especially like we're all business owners, and when business is going great, it's great. But there are times when it's overwhelming, isn't it? Because you've got so many hats that you put on. You're the marketing director, you're the finance director, you're the CEO, you're whatever it is you actually do. And like at times your head is just going to spin. So take these tools and use them in your business. So from a business point of view, now, soon, later. I know that you've got the usual chart. Is it the urgent, important, not urgent thing?
Eisenhower's, whatever it is, Eisenhower's matrix.
That's too complicated for me. I can only work in threes.
Actually, I know quite a few people that say that. There's something, isn't there, about working in threes? There's some psychological something or another about why it works to work in threes.
I think it's maybe I'm just indecisive. I couldn't figure out, is that important and not urgent, or urgent, important? And I'm like, no, give me my list of threes now, soon, later.
Yeah.
And it's, I'll do that in business.
Yeah.
And it's just, then it'll help you prioritize where you really should be focusing.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I've got a question off the back of that, because you mentioned about business. So is there anything specific that we need to be preparing for within our businesses if something goes wrong, or something happens in our life? So it could be something that happens to one of our loved ones or happens to ourselves. All
right, that's a good question. I think this is really important because financial types, right, be it financial advisors or the money mindset people or whoever, or abundance, I don't mean to be disrespectful, right? But a lot of it is talking about building wealth and making money.
Yeah.
And that's the third step. So I would say that getting your finance organized comes in, guess what? Guess how many steps? Comes in 3.
Of course it does.
Step 1, spend less than you earn. Okay. Step 3 is to make more money back. Step 2, that's protect what you've got, especially when you're running your own business. So I'm going to guess some of you will be like me, and I came from a big corporate background, as I know you did, Laura, didn't you?
Yeah.
Right, so when we left our corporate jobs, so we've left the pension, we've left the sick pay, we've left the holiday entitlement, all those wonderful things, and we are now out on our own. The great news, nobody's telling us what to do anymore, and we get to decide how we run our businesses.
Which, in my opinion, outweighs all of those benefits, but yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. But it's protecting what you've got, because there's no point going and building wealth if life throws you a curveball and you're not prepared for it. So what do I mean by that? So you put money in your investments, in your pensions, you're building assets, and that's great. But you're building them for a purpose. And that purpose probably wasn't to help you out if you couldn't work for a period of time.
Yeah.
That wasn't the point.
Never that in the past. Yes, what you mean.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think we talk enough about protecting what you've already got. So you've heard me mention that I've got life cover. That doesn't actually do anything for me because I'll be dead, right? But my children and my family are rather important to me. And as I am the main source of money for them, I need to make sure that if I'm not here, that they can have the financial security that they would have had if I was still here. So more interest to me is what happens if I'm still here, but I can't work.
Particularly as the main income earner as well.
Yeah, and in some ways, I think that's worse than being dead.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to compare it to, but the reason I think it's worse is because if you can't work in your business for a period of time, not only have you got the stress and worry of the business and your own health, you will be able to see the impact on your family and those that are dependent on you not being able to provide for them. And that, I guarantee you, is not good for your health and will not lead to a speedy recovery. So there are 2 key ways to protect yourself here. I think one is you have been referred to critical illness insurance. So this is kind of protection that pays out a lump sum if you're diagnosed with a specified critical illness. And the other one you have been referred to was income protection.
Yeah.
And this is insuring your salary or your income from the business. So like you've got travel insurance, haven't you?
Yeah.
You got house insurance?
Yeah.
You got car insurance?
Yesterday, actually.
You've got car insurance, Laura? Oh, you haven't got a car anymore, have you?
No, I have got a car.
Still got a car.
Actually, funny enough, I thought of you last night when I was doing it because you recommend that cashback place. What's it called?
Quidco.
Quidco, that's it. Yeah. So I did my house insurance yesterday, and I got £35 cashback, and it was £250 the renewal. I got it for £171. a year.
Whoa. And the £35 cash back.
And £35 cash back.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, I have got home insurance and car insurance.
Right, so all of those things that we spend our money on, including the other insurances, we're not insuring the thing that actually pays for all that stuff.
No.
That's what income protection does.
Yeah. I see what
This is why it was really important that I did my financial one-pager for my other half, because I've got income protection. The way that works is you can pick a waiting period before it starts paying out.
Yeah.
I know I've got enough cash stashed aside for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
Mine will start paying out after 3 months.
And obviously, the longer you leave it, the lower the premiums are, right? Yeah. So, you know, that's like actually a good point. I've not really thought about that. Was when I've thought about income protection, I thought I need to get it paying out as soon as possible. But you're right. If I've got my rainy day fund, then obviously it needs to pay out after that's all gone. Depending on the other financials, I suppose, because obviously you might want to use that money for something else.
It's getting that balance. You can tweak this plan and fine tune it to what you want. But the thing is, right, if I can't work due to ill health, let's say I put them back out and I'm going to be off for, I don't know, a year. The clock starts, I have to wait 3 months for them to pay out. Yep. That 3 months clock starts ticking when we notify the insurance company. So what I don't want is my partner not finding that paperwork until 6 months down the road. Yep. I want her to find it on day one so she can contact them and get the clock ticking.
But then also, like, let's take that example with the back being out. Do you also need to play into account, like, how quickly you want it to pay out? Because some things you might recover from sooner. So in that example, you know, if it's not going to pay out for 3 months, but in that you might be thinking, okay, my back I can get sorted in 6 months, so I'm only going to get 3 months worth of benefit rather than it paying out sooner.
Yeah, that's true. So the 3 months is still, we'll have that. So it's about, you can choose how long you have as a waiting period. And they'll kind of typically range from 4 weeks up to 52 weeks.
Yeah.
And you can split the cover as well. So I think historically this goes back to like public sector workers where you get 6 months full pay sick, 6 months half. Yeah. So you could set it up that after 6 months it would start paying out half your salary.
Yes.
And then the next 6 months it would pay out full. So I think it's an option to be aware of. And what I would say is go and explore it, because the younger you are, the cheaper it is to get. If you wait till you're like my age, right? But it's all manner of stuff that goes wrong with you. It's more expensive. And if you get it, keep hold of it and never let it go.
Yeah, that's the same as all insurances, isn't it? You know, buying it young. And funny enough, I made the mistake of doing my insurances through my corporate job. And of course, then when I've left there, the insurances have gone as well. And now I'm 20 years older than I was when I originally set those up. So that's also a thing, you know, if you are thinking about reviewing your insurances, do it linked to you, not linked to a company or anything like that, even though it might be cheaper that way. I mean, mine was super cheap, so I've had that benefit. But now to try and replace that cover is extremely expensive because I'm now 20 years older.
Most people are going to sit there and go, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that though. Like, probability and statistically, right, the bulk of us are going to be off work at some point due to ill health. So it's not a make that happen. It's probably going to happen. And if you think, let's throw in a random figure, let's say it's £50 a month. £50 a month insurance potentially protects all that other stuff you spend your money on.
I mean, look at what happened with me with my ankle. No one could have predicted that. That was a complete fluke accident and just came out of the middle of nowhere. I didn't do anything to cause that. It was just a spur of the moment accident. And, you know, that would have counted, right? Because I broke my ankle very severely, my leg very severely, and it did stop me from working. So I couldn't sit at my desk. I was, as you know.
Yeah, I know. So, and lots of people think, oh, but this is just for someone that's got a salary. It's not. Business owners can have it as well.
So how's it calculated? That's a question. How's it calculated for business owners? Is it based on what you've earned?
Okay, so it depends how long you've been in business.
Right, okay.
So if you've only been in business for a year, right, there are specialised providers that will look at you, and what they might do is say, right, well, we'll cover your mortgage payments.
Yeah.
Or they'll put a set amount. If you've been trading for longer, okay, then you will be able to get equivalent protection to what somebody that's employed would be.
Right.
And the way it generally works, every company does it slightly differently. But what you will tend to find is the maximum you can insure is roughly the equivalent of what your net take home would have been.
Okay. Okay, cool. Great. That's brilliant. Okay, Julie. So any other tips you can share with us that you had on your list for protecting our future possibilities?
I think that they're the practical things I would advise, right? The thing, going back to the conversation you were alluding to, this happened on Clubhouse this morning, is I would just encourage people to talk more about money. So especially if you're in a relationship, is just try and get into the habit of talking about it and being open about it. Because if you do that, one, it's support for you if you need it. Two, it's a second opinion, depending how objective your partner is.
Yeah, I did a podcast episode on this last year, actually, about like practically how you can bring that subject up without it turning into an argument, which is often what comes up, isn't it? Is people say, oh, I don't want to talk to my partner about money because it ends up in an argument. And I have the personal opinion that start off soft, talk about the memories that you might have created and maybe some of the goals you want to be working towards, and make it a bit more fluffy, shall we say, than like the facts, before delving straight into the facts and figures.
You want to light candles and do it in the bath, don't you?
Well, not sure about that, but yeah.
No, well, my advice for this is it's a bit like food shopping,
Okay.
right? So you don't go food shopping when you're hungry.
Yeah,
so don't try and have a conversation about money when a big bill's just landed or there's a big decision that needs to be made.
Or if you're stressed out, or, you know, don't just land it on that person. Say, look, I want to sit down and go through things. When should we do that? So that you're both prepared. It's not just, I'm going to talk to you whilst you're trying to make dinner. It's an actual, what do they call it? Like a money date, don't they? Like actually sit down and take the time. But I always say, don't make that your only date. Please make sure you go out and enjoy spending time together, and don't make every date that you have about the logistical stuff, because my ex-husband would agree with me. That's probably where we fell short, is that all of our time that we had, just the two of us, we would end up talking logistics instead of the romance stuff. So don't just have money dates, have normal dates as well.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Julie, thank you so much for all your hints and tips. Where can people find you and get into your world?
Okay, if you want to find out more about me and what I do, first place, come and find me on Instagram. Okay, I'm rather inexpertly on Instagram, and that's at Julie Flynn, Money Woman. And from there, you'll find the links to everything I do. So the financial plan and business and the financial coaching business.
Great, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing everything you have today. I've really enjoyed spending time with you, as always.
Thank you so much for listening to the Money Savvy Parents podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please subscribe to be alerted to the new episodes. If you want to learn more about your relationship with money, then start off by taking my Money Languages quiz on my website, www.savvypeacocks.co.uk. Let's remove the taboo from money together.